Wow.
Now, let's get busy with the truth.
I really do like that intro. Good morning, everyone. Just waiting for one last fire up. It's great to be live. It is the 20th, May 20th. It's so great to be here. Hang on, we're telling more followers to join your video. Okay, good luck. Instagram just shut down the live. We're getting ready for a quick news update story today. I think that one of the things that's interesting, we're about a week into something I talked about earlier on the show. And what's happening is a very interesting arc of just myself as a person. And here I am getting distracted. But I talked earlier this week about how I went to this event last week for a politician that I believed in, and really the whole thing turned into a huge disaster. Like it turned into a huge disaster. It's basically the entire conversation about that political campaign right now. Whether my ego was bruised, whether I was being a fragile man because I got interrupted during my speech, etc., etc. But what's come full circle in the ensuing week, as we approach about a week into this now, is just crystal clarity. And I want to share this with you because the lens of history and the timeline of history tends to vindicate people. And what's happening now is, well, I felt a lot of shame about sharing my experience last week. What's happening more and more and more is I realized that I just didn't listen to my intuition. Because I didn't listen to my intuition, I got myself in a situation where I tried to use the skill set that I've built up over the last 30 years to try to advocate for something I believed in. And all this, I'm telling you this story because I think you should just, I want you to trust your intuition. I want you to see what happens when you don't trust your intuition. Everything about, everything about the situation now that I'm a week out from it, when I went to this political event, everything was a big red flaring, it was a big red flaring siren. And I should have listened to my intuition, and I should have understood, like, hey, I know you want to get behind a candidate who's passionate. I know you want to get behind someone who is excited. I know you want to do that, but every blaring red light was there. And what I should have listened was my bullshit meter was going off like crazy. My bullshit meter was going off like crazy. And this is something that I've trained myself with for 30 plus years as someone who highly masks. I mean, literally in front of you. You can't see it on camera right now, but I have to use a teleprompter because when I don't, I don't have the cognitive processing to process out and buffer out this show every day. I'm not going to get into that, but what I would tell you is that I didn't listen to my bullshit meter, and I put myself in a situation that was kind of like standing in lava when I surrounded myself with a situation I couldn't escape from other than confronting the bullshit. And now what history is vindicating that I was right all along. Because what's happened is a lot of people have now come on and they're in attack mode, personal attack mode. Oh, Instagram, that's fine. I don't care. We'll shut off Instagram. I'm done with you. Oh, I'm probably gonna get a little warning about that now. Anyways, hold on. I have to edit out that little part there because some stupid video was playing and it's gonna give me a problem on YouTube. So now I have to edit that whole part out. So thank you, Instagram, for being stupid. Anyways, I didn't listen to my bullshit filter. But what happened was I was put in a situation where I had to confront my bullshit filter. And I have this pervasive sense of justice. And well, here we are. And now what's happening is in the aftermath of this, it's turned into personal attacks. And so, how can you support a political campaign who allows its supporters to say things like, I should just read some of the comments? Let me read some of the comments from some of these people. Let's see. My favorite one so far. What's wild is you used your autism to play the victim card. Here's another one. He's not going to help you with your medications. You should refill that prescription stat. And they go on and they go on and they go on and on and on and on. And I should have picked up on this immediately. The lesson here, all I have to say is trust your gut. And one last thing. We're doing something very effective. Okay? We've built something very effective in the community that we've built here on the Ignition News, but also more importantly on Rebel Radio Network. We've taught people to have positive impact in their community, and they're going out into their community and having positive impact. One of our longtime community members, Jenna, I just saw I'm sorry, I didn't know this. This is my bad. She's like running for office. in the span of less than a year, someone gets involved in their community, learns about how to have a positive change, and then goes and runs for office. And the thing is, obviously, we want people to win when they run for office. But even if you run for office and you lose, you're going to be forever impacted and changed because you will see how broken the system is from the beginning. And my final loop that I'm going to close with this is the one thing I realized about this whole situation that happened to me last week was it's really only like 20 fucking people. Okay. The people, I'm proud of you for calling the interrupter immediately. Thank you for saying that. That matters a lot that you said that. The one thing I learned about all of this and what I should have realized in the moment was it's only, like I said, it's only like 20 fucking people that are highly tuned into this like hyper political shit. Everything else has to be done in community. We have to do that in our communities. And so I think what I experienced conversely was I think what happened was a room of people, um, how do I say this delicately? I'll say this differently. Someone said in a different format, "Oh, this your socialist dad." That's my social media handle. It's like the local orgs. They don't really like him. He doesn't really partner up with them. He kind of does his own thing. Yeah, yes, yes. You finally figured it out. Ask yourself the question, how is my community, Las Vegas, better because of anything you did? It's more expensive. Our politicians are more corrupt. The police are running rampant, abusing our civil rights and civil liberties. Our kids cannot feel safe going to school. It's not affordable to live here. It's getting worse every day. But I'm fucking chalking up win after win after win after win after win. And my community trusts me, believes in me, and is passionate about me. So, yeah, you will forgive me because when I go to your little events, guess what happens? Exactly this kind of thing. It fucking it's a disaster because I have no tolerance for your bullshit. I have no tolerance for your lies. I have no tolerance for you pretending that you're doing anything to make the community better. You just want power. And with that power, you're not going to make my community better. And when I see that, guess what? I can identify it fucking instantly. It's like a disease. I can smell it. I can smell the bullshit and I can't tolerate it. And I'm not going to be part of it. And you're not going to use my platform to elevate it because I can just fucking feel it. Nonetheless, we've built something and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's growing out into these communities. And it's unassailable. It is not attackable. There's nothing you can say other than we have been enormously effective. There is literally nothing you can say other than that. So the point is, with all of that information, what you realize is what is left. After all of that, let me just tell you what I've accomplished in the last year. First of all, I've built up the Ignition. First of all, I've built up Rebel Radio Network. First of all, there's probably hundreds of people, if not more, probably closer to my initial goal of 1,000 people who I have taught to go out into the community and who have taken that advice. I'm not some fucking savior, but I have done something, okay? And they've gone out into their communities, and I can literally list off. These are not things I did, by the way. These are things they did, okay? All I did was open a door. They walked through the fucking door. And when they walked through the door, guess what? They made massive sweeping change in their communities. And you say like, "Oh, well, what's going to a city council meeting?" Yeah, because guess what? Nobody went before. Oh, what? Running for office? Yeah, because guess what? Now that person gets to see what it's like for running for office. Oh, what? Calling their mayor, fixing a pothole, starting a business, starting a nonprofit. Yeah, 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 yeah. What did you do? You raised money and you made some fucking flyers. Good for you. So I built this. I built Rebel Radio. I built the Ignition News Network. NV Energy, one of the largest privately run in energy conglomerate, investor owned, tried to charge people $30 to $40 conservatively more on their power bill with something called a demand charge. I uncovered it, I exposed it, and guess what? I generated community outrage. And guess what? They stopped it, at least until after the election. If I had not done that, you would be experiencing a higher power bill right fucking now, May. You would be getting a higher power bill. All 2 million of you, 2 million of you, $40 a month, $80 million. And I might not ultimately be successful in stopping it totally, but I did stop it. What else? I've got flock safety on the run in Las Vegas and elsewhere. Other people around the communities are forming deflock groups based on the work that we're doing, and they're actually stopping flock safety. I'm building and creating a documentary about the rampant abuse of the Las Vegas police force. They are afraid of that. What did they try to do? They tried to fucking arrest me for filming them. What am I missing? What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Nonetheless, my point is, I'm telling you this today. I'm telling you this story now for one simple reason. History will vindicate the helpers. History will vindicate the doers. There are a lot of people that get involved in politics because candidly, they can't do anything else. They're not good builders. They're not good business makers. They're fundamentally corrupt people. And politics is an excellent place for corrupt individuals or people without a moral compass. And I guess what I would say to finally close this conversation off is I was wrong. I fundamentally assessed the situation incorrectly. I assessed the situation as I believed in a political campaign. I went to support the political campaign. I experienced a politician literally leaving me hanging embarrassingly, and then a campaign afterwards that basically treated me like shit because I didn't do what they wanted and I didn't lend them my social media platform. And I felt somehow embarrassed because of that. But what happened is I inserted myself, this moral compass of myself, into a situation. And it's like, have you ever put two magnets together? When they're like the polar opposites of the magnets and you put them together and they push away from each other, that's all that happened. I was put in a situation where my moral compass was not sustainable. And actually, I can. Why am I blabbing right now? Why am I telling you this? Simple, because a week after this happened, oddly enough, I feel more powerful than ever. Because I found more people who want to make more change, and I believe in myself more. And I believe in the community I built more. Anyways, it's been kind of a rant. Good morning. Welcome to the Ignition News. There's obviously a lot going on today. First, I want to start with the slush fund. Let's go ahead and get started on the slush fund. So you've heard this now, $1.776 billion. That is the president's settlement with the IRS. He put that in place in order to, essentially because the case was about to fall apart. The $10 billion lawsuit that the president had with the IRS was in front of a judge, and the judge was really fundamentally at the stage of ending that lawsuit because she was calling out the fact that there wasn't any real precedent for that. The president's $10 billion lawsuit, as I said, was about to fall apart. So along with his handpicked attorney general, or I guess acting attorney general, he entered into a settlement, probably a settlement that he can't enter into, to create this slush fund of $1.700 what is it? What's the exact number? $1.776 billion. 1776. So who's going to get this? Well, January 6ers are probably going to get this money. People who assisted with 2020 probably going to get this money. It's a heist. It's a heist of the Treasury. The president gets to decide who's on the panel that doles out the awards. If he doesn't like the panel or their decisions, what they do is he can fire them. He learned his lesson from all these other government agencies when he tried to fire them, and they sued in court and they won. Every single American is going to pay about $10 for that, for this little slush fund. My question is not why they did this. We all know why they did this. The reason why they did this is they were about to lose the $10 million lawsuit. There's active open questions. I don't believe this is going to stand the light of sunshine, but I've said that about things and I guess I've been wrong. You have a president who is in an illegal war, who is running up into these midterms, which he's talking about. And now he's created this slush fund that says basically, hey, if you're loyal to me, there's a $1.7 billion slush fund. It's sitting right there. But this has consequences. Let's talk about story number 2. We're going to go to South Carolina. House Bill 4756. Welcome to the Ignition News. It's good to have you here on the show, by the way. If you're new to the show, please consider following us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Obviously, social media is getting harder and harder to share the truth. We're getting suppressed by these billionaires. But do find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I don't know if you heard about this bill, but it's pretty disgusting. It requires every multi-person bathroom and locker room in public K through 12 schools to be designated for one biological sex only. It is determined by what they say is verified at birth. What they're explicitly saying is that trans students are not allowed to use single occupancy restrooms. But here's the part that is most disgusting. If a school does not have a single occupancy indoor restroom available, the law explicitly permits the school to designate an outdoor porta potty as an acceptable alternative. A porta potty at school for children. Governor McMaster signed this bill into law. This is not going to do anything to make schools safer. This is what they say it will make using the bathroom a difficult and even more dangerous experience for trans and non-binary youth. That is the Campaign for Southern Equality saying that. This is going to make it easier to target and bully these children. And they are right, because the point of the law is not safety. Safety is the costume. This is specifically designed to identify trans individuals and to say they are less than, literally, when it comes to the most private parts of our lives. This will literally make them visible targets for discrimination in one of the most fundamentally vulnerable moments of their life. Using the bathroom is one of the most vulnerable, honestly, it's probably the most vulnerable experience. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Schools have until the start of the 26-year school or the 26-27 academic year to comply. Forcing kids in schools to use a porta potty. $1 billion a day. That's what it's costing us in Iran right now. And then there's Thomas Massie. Last night, you know that Thomas Massie, of course, lost the election. I want to let you know that I think that Thomas Massie's defeat is going to be a pretty disastrous moment for the country, because the president, with everything else I just talked about, just showed the rest of the Republican Party that he will use himself, his platform, he will use AIPAC, he will use the entire apparatus to shut you down. And what does this say about the Republican Party, by the way? The only Republican willing to stand up against the Epstein files. The only Republican willing to protect the children. Look at what they did to him. But here's the thing about Massie's loss. While in the short term, it's going to be disastrous for the country, in the long term, it might be beneficial. Because Massie has proven that you still can stand up. And I believe that this is not the last that we're going to see of Thomas Massie. One of my, I don't know how to describe this individual. One of the people I know well from the app TikTok actually went and was part of the Thomas Massie campaign this last week. And I checked in with her frequently. I watched some of her lives, and there was a couple of times that she was like literally in the room with Thomas Massie. They're like playing the banjo. I don't even know where you begin with all this conversation. And what I got to see from that lens of someone I trust was like fundamentally someone whose policies I don't agree with, but who is clearly a decent human being. Clearly a decent human being. And the Republican Party has effectively decided the most decent human being in their party was a traitor because it wasn't loyal enough. Because he wasn't loyal enough. Of course, the message to the rest of the Republican Party is very clear. No independent judgment is going to be permitted. But I think Thomas Massie exits this on the moral high ground. There are many, many potential paths forward for Thomas Massie. He could run as an independent. Running as an independent would almost certainly hand the race to the Democrat in Kentucky. I suspect, as I've said many times before, here's what I said, and this is on record. I said I think Thomas Massey's going to lose, and I think Thomas Massey is going to run as vice president with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson now has a window to launch the rest of his campaign platform, which he has been talking about for quite some time now. This defeat of Thomas Massey really essentially lines up every single thing that Carlson has been saying. His conversations about the Epstein files, his conversation about AIPAC, his conversation about the now openly opposing the president of the United States. And he has in Massey someone that is palatable to a portion of the libertarian base, the Republican base, and now even the Democratic base. So I think that Thomas Massey is going to run for office with Tucker Carlson. What that means is not something that we have time enough to discuss today, but it is going to be interesting. That's the stories today, everyone. What is the theme of the stories? You have $1 billion slush fund, you have a porta potty law, and you have a primary election. It's actually not different than the rant that I started the show with today. And that is that power decides who the rules apply to. The January 6ers beat police. Well, I mean, we know that happened. They might be getting paid from a slush fund. Trans kids need to use a bathroom. Every human needs to use a bathroom. They get porta potties. Thomas Massey voted his conscience. His political career, at least in Congress, is over. The clear message here is power is punishing people it wants to control, and it is rewarding people that it wants to keep loyal. And it is going to get harder and harder and harder for us to stand up and to push back. But the reality is we are, in fact, still here. We are, in fact, still here. Regarding the South Carolina law, I wanted to give you some action items. If you are in South Carolina, contact the Campaign for Southern Equality. They are on the ground in South Carolina. They need financial support, and they need people willing to show up and protest. Their website is southernequality.org. If you're not in the area, you still can see how you might be able to phone bank, you might be able to call. In your area, if you don't live in South Carolina, I think this is a template for what is about to happen across the country. So what I'm, pardon me, what I'm challenging you to do is pay attention to upcoming legislation coming into your state, specifically with the schools. Pay attention to your school board meetings. I wish I could have given that more time today to talk about that law because I think it's horrific. I really wish I could give it more time, and I will try in the future. But the challenge item there is for you to find out if this is coming to a school near you and to get ready to push back. And the last one is this. Please consider sharing out the show. Oh, sharing out the show. We built, I noticed we got a lot of new subscribers last week. I appreciate that. If you're not yet subscribed in one of those platforms, please do consider doing that. But go ahead and click that share button, share it out with someone you know, and we'll see you live on Friday. Remember to check out Spotify for the pre-recorded shows. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you back on Friday.